Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. It was past midnight, and I was driving down a lonely stretch of highway that cut through miles of thick, unyielding forest. I had made this drive more times than I could count, and I knew every twist and turn of the road by heart. My job often required these late-night commutes, and over the years, I'd learned to embrace the eerie silence of the road. No streetlights, no houses, just me and the endless stretch of blacktop, my headlights slicing through the dark. The night felt heavier than usual. A thick mist clung to the trees, curling in ghostly tendrils across the asphalt. My radio had given out 10 miles back, dissolving into a sea of static. I turned it off, leaving nothing but the low hum of my tires against the road and the rhythmic sweep of my windshield wipers. Then I saw him, a lone figure standing by the roadside, his right hand raised in a hitchhiker's gesture. I don't pick up strangers, ever, but something about this man made my foot hesitate over the gas pedal. He was dressed in a brown jacket and jeans, his head tilted downward, hiding his face beneath the shadow of his hood. My stomach twisted. Keep driving, my brain warned, but my hands had already moved. I slowed the car, my headlights illuminating the wet pavement around him. Before I could think better of it, I was pulling over, my tires crunching against the gravel shoulder. The moment my car came to a stop, he moved fast, too fast. He yanked open the passenger door and slid inside before I could even get a word out. The second he shut the door, the stench hit me. A thick, rancid odor, like damp soil mixed with something far worse. Something decayed. It clung to the air, clogging my nostrils and making my stomach churn. I turned to get a better look at him, and that's when the unease settled deep into my bones. His skin was pale, not just pale gray like old concrete. His face was thin, too thin, his cheeks sunken inward, and his eyes, they were deep set, ringed with dark circles so severe they looked like bruises. I swallowed hard. "Where to?" I asked, my voice coming out more uncertain than I'd intended. For a long moment he didn't answer. He just stared straight ahead, his hands gripping his knees, his fingers digging into the denim like he was holding something back. Then, finally he spoke. "Just a little further," he whispered. His voice was dry and cracked, like a man who hadn't used it in years. A shiver crawled up my spine. I nodded stiffly and pulled back onto the highway, keeping my eyes locked on the road. The smell was getting worse. I rolled down my window slightly, trying to breathe in some fresh air, but it didn't help. The scent clung to the inside of the car, thick and suffocating. I tried not to gag. Minutes passed in silence. Then, "You don't remember me, do you?" His voice was lower now, closer. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles turning white. My breath hitched in my throat. "What?" I forced out, trying to keep my voice steady. Slowly, so damn slowly, he turned his head toward me. His eyes, black and bottomless, locked onto mine. "You hit me," he whispered. "2 years ago. You left me on this road." My stomach dropped, my vision blurred for a second, my heart hammering against my ribs. "No," I stammered. I I don't know what you're talking about. But before I could finish, I saw it. The rear view mirror. My blood ran cold. A body. A crumpled, lifeless body lying in the middle of the road behind us. My throat tightened. The world tilted. I slammed the brakes. My car skidded violently, tires screeching against the wet pavement. My seatbelt yanked me back as the vehicle jerked to a stop. My hands trembled as I turned to look at the hitchhiker beside me. He was gone. The passenger seat was empty. The door was still closed. But the smell was gone too, and that's when I saw them. Muddy footprints. They led from the seat to the floor, as if something, had been sitting there just seconds ago. My hands were shaking as I reached for the door handle, fumbling in my panic. I stumbled out of the car, my breath coming in short gasps. The night was silent again. No wind, no crickets, just the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. I forced myself to look at my dashboard, and that's when I saw it. A single, smeared, bloody handprint. My legs nearly gave out. I don't remember the drive home. I don't remember anything except the sheer, unrelenting terror that followed me for the rest of the night. But I do remember this. The next morning, when I checked the news, there was an old report from 2 years ago. A young man had been hit by a car on that exact stretch of highway. The driver was never found, and the victim? His photo sent ice through my veins. Brown jacket, jeans, hollowed out eyes. The hitchhiker. I never drove that road again. Story 2. I was exhausted. The kind of bone-deep exhaustion that makes your eyelids feel like bricks and turns the road in front of you into a blurry, endless stretch of blacktop. My shift at work had run late again. It was past 2 a.m., and I had a 30-minute drive home through empty streets and cold air that seeped through my cracked window. I told myself I'd be fine. Just another night. Just another drive. The city had gone to sleep. Traffic lights changed for no one. Stores sat dark and silent, their neon signs flickering out one by one. The road stretched ahead, a long, unbroken ribbon, flanked by houses with their curtains drawn tight. I yawned, rubbing at my eyes, then glanced up at my rearview mirror. That's when I saw him, a man, sitting in my back seat. Every nerve in my body locked up. My breath stopped halfway in my throat. He was wearing a dark hoodie, the hood pulled low over his face, his head tilted downward, like he was staring at the floor. I nearly swerved off the road. My hands clenched the wheels so hard my knuckles turned white. I hadn't stopped anywhere. I hadn't picked anyone up. My car had been locked when I got in. So how the hell was he there? The air in the car turned thick, suffocating. My skin prickled with sweat despite the cold. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to think. Maybe I was imagining it. A trick of the light. A shadow cast from something outside. I glanced at the mirror again. He was still there. I couldn't see his face. Couldn't tell if he was breathing. He wasn't moving. I tried to keep my voice steady. "Hey man, you okay?" No response. The silence pressed in on me. My pulse pounded so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. I thought about pulling over, jumping out of the car, running, but the road was empty, and the idea of stopping, of sitting still while he was behind me, watching, I couldn't. I reached for my phone, moving slow, careful. If he had a weapon, then he moved, not much, Just a small tilt of the head, a slight shift in his shoulders, and then his reflection in the mirror grinned. A wide, unnatural grin. Teeth too white, lips stretching too far. But the man in the back seat, he wasn't moving at all. The grin was only in the mirror. I slammed on the brakes. My tires screeched against the pavement. The seatbelt yanked me forward, knocking the breath from my lungs. Without thinking, I ripped at the door handle and stumbled out onto the pavement, gasping for air. The cold night swallowed me whole. I turned back to the car, heart hammering. The back seat, it was empty. The doors were locked. The windows were shut. Nothing inside except the faint glow of my dashboard lights. But my stomach twisted when I saw the rear window. A single, foggy handprint, pressed against the glass from the inside. I stood there, frozen, breath clouding in the cold air. My skin crawled, every instinct screaming at me to run, to get as far away from that car as possible. But I had to go home. I had no choice. Slowly, I reached for the driver's side door, hands shaking. I slid into the seat and slammed the door shut, locking it instantly. My whole body was trembling as I gripped the wheel. I forced myself to breathe. It's over. He's gone. I checked the back seat. Empty. I checked the mirror. Empty. Just the faint outline of that handprint. I swallowed hard, put the car in drive, and got the hell out of there. I made it home in record time, barely remembering the drive. My hands still wouldn't stop shaking as I parked in my driveway, sprinted to my front door, and locked myself inside. For a long time, I just stood there in the dark, listening to my own ragged breaths. I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination, a trick of exhaustion, that I had imagined the whole thing. But the next morning, when I went out to my car, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The foggy handprint. It was still there, and next to it, in small, smeared letters, written with a fingertip on the dusty glass. See you soon. I never drove alone at night again. Story 3. It started around 11:30 p.m. I was driving home from a friend's house. A long stretch of highway ahead. Nothing but open fields on either side. The road was empty. Just me and the hum of my engine. I had the radio on low, static crackling between stations. Something about the night felt off, but I ignored it. Then I saw the headlights. At first, I didn't think much of them, just another car in the distance. But something was wrong. The way it moved, the way it stayed in my mirror, unwavering. It wasn't passing me, wasn't falling behind. Just there. I switched lanes. So did they. A small voice in my head whispered, "That's weird." I sped up. They matched my speed. My hands tightened on the wheel, a thin layer of sweat forming on my palms. I told myself it was a coincidence, just another late-night traveler. But my gut knew better. I decided to test them. At the last second, I flicked on my signal and swerved onto an exit ramp, tires screeching against the pavement. My breath caught in my throat as I checked the mirror. They followed. My pulse hammered in my ears. This wasn't normal. I took a sharp right onto a smaller road, barely lit by streetlights. They followed. I turned again. So did they. The pit in my stomach grew heavier. I had no enemies. No one had a reason to follow me. Then their headlights turned off. The world behind me went pitch black. A chill ran through my entire body. I pressed my foot to the gas, my car surging forward, trees blurring past. The road twisted and curved, but I didn't slow down. I couldn't. I kept checking the mirror. Nothing. They were still there. I felt them. I reached an intersection, barely slowing as I turned onto a dirt road that led toward an old, abandoned gas station. I needed to get away, to disappear. For the first time in minutes, I exhaled. I waited. Silence. The only sound was my ragged breathing, the soft ticking of the cooling engine. I wiped my sweaty hands on my jeans. No headlights. No movement. Maybe I'd lost them. Then, a single knock on my driver's side window. I screamed and turned. No one was there. My breath came in quick gasps. My fingers trembled as I reached for the door lock. Then I froze. There was something on the glass. Faint smeared fingerprints, long and thin. And between them, 3 words scratched into the dust on the window. I see you. My throat closed up. I wanted to scream, but the sound wouldn't come out. I slammed the car into drive and tore out of there, gravel spitting under my tires. My hands were ice cold. My entire body shook. I didn't stop. Not until I saw streetlights again. Not until I reached my driveway, fumbling with my keys to get inside. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I forced myself to check the car. The dust on the window had been wiped clean, but on my windshield, neat, perfect, deliberate, was a single fingerprint. I don't drive alone at night anymore.